My mother thinks she can sleep in a tent in my yard, despite knowing the home isn't mine. I am a 29-year-old woman, and my mother and I have had our share of problems. Like many other toxic mother-daughter relationships, I left home as a teenager to escape the abusive environment our home had become. I moved in with a friend in a different state, which also didn't end super well, but that's a story for a different post. Despite everything, I continued to keep communication open with my mother. She has continued to cause drama at every major event in my life, but I consider myself a pro at moving on at this point. I have planned PTO coming up in a couple of months because my job will be closed for renovations. My mother has been planning a visit during this time. Over the past few months, she's mentioned it a few times, and we've worked through the details together. Today, she emailed me to say that when she comes to visit, she will likely not have funding for anything more than gas. She plans to bring a tent for her and her husband to sleep in during the stay and has inquired about available space in my yard, despite being fully aware that I do not own the home I live in and that I do not have the right to allow her to stay in our yard in a tent and use our facilities for any amount of time, much less several days. At first, I hoped it was some awful attempt at humor, putting me in an uncomfortable position in order to laugh at my discomfort, because it's something she's done several times in my life. Once, she even pretended to have full-blown Tourette syndrome, complete with vocal tics worthy of an episode of South Park, in the middle of a crowded shopping center just to laugh at my humiliation at her antics. So, this seemed likely. Unfortunately, she was serious. When I told her no, that I couldn't help her with this, she simply said, "All right. I'll figure it out myself," as though it isn't the most irresponsible choice to drive halfway across the country as a grown adult who knows they cannot afford to do such a thing. I have no idea what will happen, but I'm expecting a "what, don't you want to see us?" response anytime since I advised her not to make the trip at all since she clearly can't afford it. As a grown adult who can't afford to travel myself, I am astounded at the audacity. Edit. Wow. I have never gotten this much of a response on any post in the past, so I'm going to answer a few questions I feel matter that I've seen in the comments. Why not cut her out completely? I honestly don't have a good reason, just that I'd feel guilty. I'm the only family member out of state, and I worry that cutting her out will result in the loss of family I would regret losing. I'm just afraid, I guess. Why don't you offer to put her in a hotel? I'm like a lot of people in my age group these days, struggling. I'm not even the only earner in the house, and we're still chasing the wrong end of the paycheck at the end of the day. I'd love to have been able to go back and visit myself, but it would be irresponsible to attempt a trip I can't afford, and putting my own little family at risk is not worth the moment of happiness I might find checking in on others I miss. Is it possible her living situation has changed and she doesn't plan on leaving my yard? I never even considered this, and it horrified me to see it worded out. I would love to think she could never pull something like that, but honestly, I feel like anything is possible. Thank you all for your logical advice. I really appreciate knowing that my own little circle isn't wrong to think the things I've seen here. I'm still waiting to hear how she responds to my suggestion that she not come, and I will do my best to post an end to this unfortunate story. Edit 2. Wow. Okay. Apparently, this whole "I can't afford anything but gas" story was all a ruse to get to spend more time together while she visits. Allegedly, she is more than comfortable financially and has no fear that this trip will put her into financial hardship as she is making better money than ever before. Plus, she gets really good deals on rooms because she works for a popular hotel brand. I honestly don't know what to think at this point. I don't know if it will be worse if she's lying about her financial stability to make me feel better and let my guard down about her visit, or if it's 100% legitimate and she lied about financial hardships simply to play on my emotions. Either way, I can't stop her from making the trip. All I can do is make sure I stick to my boundaries and not allow her to overstep them. Thank you all for your helpful advice and honest opinions. Hard as it may be to hear some of them, I can't deny it all needed to be said. I'm still waiting to hear back from her, and I will post an update when I can.